Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today it's going to be pretty cool, pretty interesting. Got two guys coming on board. They're going to kind of just run through some tips and some of the key factors that will help you produce numbers and will help you kind of get the mindset of what maybe some of these pro trappers are doing, or some of these long lining trappers that catch these high numbers in canine or you know, even any other target animal that you're going after. So today I'm going to introduce you to the first guy is Jason Vance. Now Jason Vance, he is a trapper from Maine and catches pretty high numbers up in Maine. He catches upwards of 100 and does very well, but he also is an out-of-state trapper, and he goes to multiple states, Kansas being one of them, Mississippi, and a few others. Now Jason, he typically catches around 100 or so, or 150. I think maybe even a little higher than that in Maine, but he goes out to Kansas and he'll catch another 250, maybe 300, and then he goes to a couple other states where he catches a few more canine as well. But he also traps beaver, otter, the whole smorgasbord of all the other fur bearers as well. And he's got some really good tips for you. He's just coming back from his trip out in Kansas. He's going to be in his truck talking to you guys, but he's going to give you some phenomenal tips.
Hey trappers, Jason Vance here, back home in Maine, regrouping before I go on to my next trapping adventure, which will be Mississippi. But I was asked to do a little clip on my thoughts of what it takes to put up big numbers. And I know for me it's being able to trap on or in a location that has a high density of coyotes, and you just need the animals there to trap, and then when you do find your locations, the area to trap with a lot of animals, putting out as many sets as you can, maintain in the 20, whatever your check law allows, and then once they're out, being sure to be able to maintain those and keep them in working order, depending on what Mother Nature throws at you with rain. Or I know back home in Maine, I was able to put up a decent number there this year, which was 110 fox and coyotes, which is a good number for Maine, but Mother Nature threw a lot of rain and everything, which required me to make a lot of new sets. And back home in Maine, it takes more ground to cover to put up a good number, because you need to be on as many family groups as you can. So, and then Kansas was windy. It got down cold some nights. So just being able to maintain your traps. You don't want 100 traps out and only 50 of them working. You're not going to catch good numbers. So the other thing is just having a good work ethic and running a lot of traps, because it does take a lot from sun up to sundown, and sometimes beyond that, to maintain your traps and to put out more traps. And another thing that I think that people overlook is having a vehicle that will allow you to check traps that's been upkeep. And because I know this year back in Kansas when I was trapping there, I had truck issues, and I have a pretty good relationship with my rancher down there, and he was pretty good about helping me out. He gave me his truck to use while mine was being fixed. So again, making good relationships with your ranchers if you're out of state trapping. And then another thing that is key, I think, is your health. Another thing that I ran into this year out in Kansas was I got really, really sick, and I was sick for a week, and then I finally went to the hospital because I didn't want to take away from trapping and checking traps, and I knew that I needed to check traps, but I contracted E. coli, which was from the strain that I got was from stray dogs and coyotes. So that put me in the hospital for one night, overnight. It didn't get in the way of checking traps, but just try to stay healthy, make sure that you're using proper, your gloves and everything to keep you safe as well. So I hope this helps. I'm going to be, like I said, going to Mississippi, which is a whole different link down there. So if you would follow my Instagram and YouTube page, and I hope this helps you to be able to put up some good numbers. Thank you.
So the next guy up is Bryan Nelson, and Bryan Nelson, phenomenal trapper, phenomenal fox trapper out from Virginia. He is also the demo coordinator for the NTA. He does a phenomenal job with that. He runs a long line. He also does a little bit of pin collections with some urine, and could hook you up with that as well when the time's right or when he has some in stock. Bryan also runs he's a co-founder of the Eastern Predator Trapper Longlining School, and he does that with Matt Jones. And those guys both, with the experience and knowledge they have, gosh, I think that would, that's an on-the-line instruction, and I think that's really what a lot of people need to see. They need to see the miles you have to cover, they need to see the work you have to do, and they need to see what all goes into catching these big numbers on these lines. So, with that being said, some of the best trappers are on YouTube. Enjoy, guys.
Good morning. So I've been asked to talk to you about what it takes to put up numbers. Catching big numbers is not that complicated. There's a few factors that come into play that really have to be taken care of if you're going to be successful. The first is you need to be proficient at catching your target animal. If you struggle to catch one fox or one coyote or one raccoon, you're going to have a hard time catching 100 or 500 or 1,000. You're putting the cart before the horse. So you need to learn how to catch one fox consistently. Become proficient at catching your target animal. You're not going to become proficient by reading books or magazines or watching YouTube videos. You become proficient by getting out in the woods and the waters and the fields and setting traps, looking at sign, and letting the animals teach you how to become better. Practicing making your sets so you can do it over and over again. That all goes into becoming proficient. You don't become proficient overnight. Once you become proficient, the second thing that comes into play is having access to a population of animals to work with. The most proficient trapper in the world can't catch an animal that isn't there. So you have to have a population. Where I am in Virginia, we have a good population of canines to work with, but we don't have a whole lot of muskrats, so I don't target muskrats for numbers. So find a population to work with. If you're blessed with a population at home, then you can do it there. If you're not, then you're going to have to travel if you want to catch numbers. Next, you need access. That translates into either large quantities of public ground to work or large quantities of private ground to get permission on. Building a line on private ground can take several years to get enough permissions lined up, productive permissions lined up to where you can put up numbers of animals. But it's work that you have to do. Gain your access. Figure out how you're going to get around and get to those properties. You need reliable transportation. You need a way to get in and out quickly. You need a route that's not backtracking constantly. So you need access. Once you have access, it really comes down to your work ethic and the time you have available as to what you can do. You need to put in the hours and the days. It becomes a grind. It really does become a grind. After 2 or 3 months of doing this, it gets to where it's just you can almost have to force yourself to get up and go to work in the morning. But it is great to be able to do it, to be able to get out in the woods and make a living doing this, or even if you're not making a living, even if you're just putting up numbers for the pride of putting up numbers, it's a great thing to be able to do. Just want to make sure I covered it all. I wish you all the best of luck. I would encourage everyone to join your state Trappers Association and the Fur Takers of America and the National Trappers Association. Those groups are out there fighting for your right to be able to go out and catch numbers. So I would encourage you to go out or join those organizations and become involved in protecting our heritage. That way this doesn't die with us, but our kids and grandkids can continue to do this. This is a valuable tool for wildlife management, and we need to see it continue. Thank you. Best of luck on the line.
Hey, thanks for sticking around and watching those guys give some tips on catching big numbers. just wanted to thank them and thank all the other guys that came along on this little journey and has, you know, just given a little bit of advice and given some tips on how they catch big numbers. If you guys haven't seen that or seen the first 2 parts of this series, I'll put it up, tag it up here in the corner, and I'll also put it down in the description. And it's just the first 2 parts of the, you know, the pro tips. So yeah, I really thank those guys for coming on. And I also wanted to mention that Bryan runs an ADC business out in Virginia as well, and I can put a link to his website or to his information down below. And I also wanted to state that Jason Vance just came out with, I believe, a predator bait and also a lure of some sort. So I'll leave a link to that below in the description as well. And, you know, once again, guys, appreciate you coming on and appreciate you just sticking around and watching these videos. Take care.